There is this famous Google interview question that everyone gets wrong.
여러분이 100원짜리 동전 크기가 되어 믹서기 안에 갇히게 되었다고 상상해보죠. 믹서기 다리 60초 후에 돌기 시작한다고 할 때 어떻게 탈출해야 할까요?
I would like to think I could duck down and miss the blades.
Break the thing at the bottom, maybe?
Push the blender.
Ask nicely for the blender not to be turned on.
Tie my clothes together and then use it as a rope, I guess?
If I was lighter, I could maybe catch a draft up.
Accept defeat.
I mean, I'm the size of a nickel. What quality of life is that?
Okay, resonance. I'm gonna run to one wall, push on it, run to the other wall, push on it, run to the other wall, so I'm gonna tip the container over. Honestly, the thing I would think about is trying to get to the very center of the blades. It's spinning around me, but the actual RPM is probably not that high if I'm standing in the middle. I tie my clothes to one of the tips of the blades. As it's starting up, I get it to swing me around, and then woo!
물론 이게 정답은 아닐 겁니다.
Now, I first heard about this problem in this book. It describes how each year Google received about 3 million applications, but they would only hire 7,000 people. That's a 0.2% acceptance rate. So one way to screen out millions of applicants was to use brain teasers. And the interviewers would make these up for fun.
We didn't get a list at that time of what questions to ask. We would share questions among each other.
Some of them gained traction. Questions like, how many golf balls can fit in a 747? Or how much should you charge to wash all the windows in Seattle? But the blender question really stuck with me, and I'm not alone.
You just lay back, enjoy that breeze. The best model in the world is only gonna run maybe 10 or 11 hours. So we're getting out, and when we do, we're better off for it because whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
이 질문 하나로 레딧 댓글창이 난리가 났었죠.
There are so many different answers, but which one is the best?
I'll try to hide underneath the blades, I guess.
Hide under the blade, probably.
Great first reaction, but maybe that doesn't solve your problem entirely. Now you're just stuck inside of a spinning blender. So maybe you want to escape.
Can I climb the walls? Are there defects in the walls that are sufficiently large for me to grip onto? Do I have van der Waals forces that are strong enough to connect me to the wall? Am I essentially a tiny gecko?
도마뱀 발이나 믹서기 유리에 전화가 뛰지 않더라도 도마뱀 발이 유리에 딱 눌려 붙어 있기만 한다면 도마뱀은 믹서기 볕에 붙을 수 있습니다. 도마뱀 발의 원자와 유리 원자가 몇 나노미터 이내로 가까워질 수만 있다면 어느 순간에 원자의 전자는 원자핵 주위에 고르게 퍼져 있는 대신 한쪽으로 약간 더 치우쳐지게 되죠. 이때 원자는 순간적으로 한쪽은 약간 양전하를, 다른 쪽은 약간의 음전하를 띠게 됩니다. 도마뱀 발의 원자와 딱 붙어있던 유리 원자는 이 전하 불균형의 영향을 받아서 비슷한 현상이 똑같이 유도되죠. 결국 유리 원자의 전자는 도마뱀 원자의 핵 쪽으로, 도마뱀 원자는 유리 원자 쪽으로 끌려가게 되는 겁니다. 이렇게 중성 원자 사이에서 매우 약한 인력이 작용합니다. 이를 반데르발스 힘이라고 부르며 이 힘에 의해 도마뱀이 벽에 붙을 수 있게 됩니다. 이 힘은 흑연을 하나로 붙들어두는 힘이기도 하죠. 흑연 속의 그래핀 층 사이에는 실제로는 결합이 없습니다. 종이가 쌓인 것처럼 쌓여져 있죠. 반데르발스 힘 때문에 붙어 있는 겁니다.
Now, these forces are pretty weak, but since we're so small, maybe they'd be enough to help us climb out.
This I can almost certainly say. We wouldn't be sticky at that scale. And that's because the van der Waals type interactions are still small. And I studied cloning, so that of these types, cockroach and gecko, it turns out that you have to get very special to do that.
도마뱀 발에 있는 수백만 개의 작은 가지처럼 이루어진 표피는 표면적을 증가시켜 매끈한 표면에 붙을 수 있게 하죠. 우리의 손은 전혀 아닙니다. 개미와 바퀴벌레도 반데르발스 힘에 의존하진 않습니다. 하지만 벽을 오를 수 있죠. 과연 작은 인간도 그게 가능할까요?
The mechanism of a cockroach foot, and I used to know all about cockroach feet, is absolutely gorgeous. Same with a ant, by the way. There's two little claws, the intarsal claws. Those are the things that slap down on a surface and really do slap when they're climbing, meters a second. Thwack, engage, despite having no adhesion, have very sophisticated frictional attachment.
이러한 발톱들은 거의 뭐든지 잡을 수 있습니다. 유리까지도요. 우리가 유리를 매끄럽게 느끼지만 실제로 확대해보면 표면이 울퉁불퉁합니다. 곤충 입장에선 바위절벽 같은 거죠.
ants basically have climbing gear.
Well, yeah.
They're like using little like axes basically to pick their way in. We don't have the attachment discs or whatever that would be, or like the special claws or the Van der Waals forces.
No, we have claws. If you're that scale, our fingers are claws.
But we only really we have 2 claws, really. And then our feet aren't great at climbing. I don't know.
Well, again, at that scale, though, I don't know, right? Imagine putting a little sharp spike into your foot, then sharpen your shoes, wear high heel shoes. You'll be good to go.
So now I'm climbing in heels. But there's still a problem.
손과 발을 천천히 정확하게 놓아야 할 겁니다. 나가는데 60초가 넘게 걸릴 것 같네요. 밑에서는 믹서기 날이 돌기 시작할 거고 한 번만 실수해도 끝이에요. 목숨 건 등반이죠.
So Google was looking for a different answer.
Okay, now we're going to the physics building. Maybe they know?
Yeah, I really got nothing. I'm stumped.
This is so embarrassing. We're in like our last year of our degree. We should definitely know this.
I feel like I could probably swing running around the sides and yeeting myself out.
Okay, if we're just talking about the entropy, it should increase at some point. So some sort of chaos should be. None of the system will stay undisrupted. Take that as a limit to infinity and I'll be chilling. Like using that logic, if I just like extrapolate, right? No, that's still too big for me to quantum tunnel or anything like that.
Whoa. I mean, that is really overthinking it. It's actually not that complicated.
Do you want to hear the best answer I've heard yet?
Sure.
Just jump.
Just jump? How would that work?
Just jump.
How?
Does that work like that?
Jump where?
Out of the blender, just go up.
So whoever told you that is...
It's crazy, right? Yeah. That makes sense to you?
No, it doesn't, but...
Do you want to hear why that works?
Yeah, tell me how it works.
믹서기 벽의 높이는 우리가 작아졌을 때 우리 키의 15배 정도 높이입니다. 대략 8층짜리 건물을 뛰어넘어야 탈출할 수 있다는 거죠. 하지만 이 영상을 보시면 말과 강아지 그리고 다람쥐까지
Did you notice it?
크기가 다른 이 세 동물이 모두 다 비슷한 높이까지 점프합니다. 17세기 생체역학의 아버지 보렐리도 이걸 연구했습니다. 이렇게 말했죠. 조건이 같고 신체 비율도 동일하다면 작고 가벼운 동물이 더 멀리 뛴다. 모든 조건이 동일하고 팔다리를 비롯한 다른 신체 부위가 같은 비율이라면 개는 말만큼 멀리 뛸 수 있을 겁니다. 물론 예외는 있습니다. 멀리 뛰는데 특화된 개구리 같은 종들이 있죠. 반대로 거북이나 코끼리처럼 전혀 안 뛰는 동물도 물론 있고요. 하지만 말과 다람쥐는 체중이 1500배 이상 차이가 나는데 뛰는 높이가 거의 비슷하다는 게 굉장히 이상하지 않나요? 다람쥐가 헬창 다람쥐여서 그런 게 아닙니다. 오히려 말이나 다람쥐나 체중 대비 근육 비율은 비슷하고 곤충은 근육 비율이 훨씬 낮죠.
Why do you think an ant can lift 50 times its own body weight? Like, is it any more muscular? No, you guys hit the gym. Come on, like you're more muscular than an ant.
So how are small things so strong?
우리 몸의 근육 안을 들여다보면 사코미어라는 작은 단위로 구성되어 있습니다. 이게 마치 스프링처럼 동작합니다. 근육이 압축될 수 있는 정도는 이 스프링이 얼마나 이어져 있는지에 따라 달라지고 근육의 힘이 얼마나 많은 스프링들이 있는지 그 단면적에 따라서 정해집니다. 근육이 두꺼울수록 이 스프링이 많아지고 힘이 세지는 거죠. 동물의 키가 작아질수록 부피가 줄어듭니다. 무게는 부피니까 키가 줄어들면 세제곱으로 비례하여 줄겠죠. 방금 말했듯 힘은 근육의 단면적과 비례하니 제곱으로만 줄어들 겁니다. 그래서 작아질수록 무게보다 힘이 더 많이 남게 되는 거죠. 그래서 작을수록 무게에 비해서 힘이 강한 겁니다. 체중에 비해서 더 큰 힘을 가지고 있는 거죠.
I mean, you could probably lift your own weight. Like if you were to put your own body weight on your back and squat that, you could now lift 100
times.
Yeah.
Let's go. And for us stuck in that blender, that extra strength relative to our weight means we could jump right out.
Your surface area decreases with the square. You'd be like a little Superman.
I see, okay.
That's really cool. So I could jump like literally out of a blender.
You could jump out of a blender.
Oh.
하지만 영화나 게임에서는 사람이 줄어들어도 세지지 않습니다.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids was one of my favorite movies when I was a kid. I love that.
영화 속에서는 사람들이 가위도 들지 못하고 빗방울에 맞아 죽을 뻔하죠. 하지만 과학적으로는 엄청나게 강한 사기캐인 거죠.
Most people don't think of this when they first hear the question. The answer almost seems too simple.
When you ask the right questions, you define the problem, there's some really obvious solutions that work. And that's actually true for a lot of problems in the real world too.
Now, I'm all for obvious solutions, but from the start, the answer of jumping out didn't sit right with me.
Even this idea of like, I'm gonna jump out of the blender, like that doesn't make sense to me because jumping is not just like, okay, how strong you are relative to your weight, it's also timing and your kinetics and all that. So like how long can you be in touch with the ground? How much can you apply that force in one burst, like over a really short period?
Would it be fair to say you're overthinking things? You gotta suspend your disbelief somewhere.
I think if you like factor in all the potential challenges a human would have, just like if they're just all of a sudden that size, they don't have like time to practice using their legs and stuff in that new environment, like, I don't give them very good chances of jumping out.
Sometimes there are people who make everything more complex than it needs to be. And that can be problematic.
I would like to see like, you know, realistic modeling of like, we scale me down 100 times. Like, can I jump higher? Like, I want to see someone do those physics equations. Like, yeah, you could jump higher, but you couldn't jump 100 times higher, you know?
그래서 조자택 생체역학 연구실의 연구자들에게 의뢰했습니다. 시뮬레이션 결과를 한번 보죠. 지금 우리의 키는 2cm이고 믹서기에서 탈출하려면 30cm 이상을 점프해야 합니다.
I was like, well, what about me? Like, I'm pretty, embarrassingly non-athletic. What if I do this? And I did it right here next to my desk. My partner sort of measured my jump height. And I know how much I weigh and all that stuff. So what would it look like for me?
체중이 84kg, 스쿼트 깊이는 15cm, 점프는 27cm만큼 할 수 있는 사람이 크기만 100분의 1로 줄어들면 점프 높이는 무려 42cm로 나왔습니다. 이론상으로는 탈출할 수 있다는 거죠.
But we need to add in air resistance. Since our cross-sectional area is now 100 times larger relative to our weight, drag should have a greater effect at nickel size.
공기 저항을 고려해서 다시 계산해 봤을 때 점프 높이는 약 39cm로 줄어듭니다. 조금은 줄었지만 여전히 탈출할 수 있죠.
But that drag calculation is assuming you jump perfectly vertically. But what if you're a bit uncoordinated and you flip onto your side mid-jump? Well, then you're exposing 10 times the surface area, and that increases the amount of air resistance.
Like, if somehow you flipped and you were still moving up like this, like, what is the air resistance then? So doing that means 22 centimeter jump height. Oh, so we don't, oh darn. If you start getting overconfident and you wanted to do like a backflip while you were at it, then you're gonna mess it up, yeah.
Don't backflip out of the blender is a good piece of advice.
Don't try and show off. You're trying to not get chopped up. Just go head first.
It's not so much getting out of the blender, it's what happens next.
You've got 2 nickel-sized men free in the world. Think of the possibilities.
The simulation came back, you can jump out of the freaking blender.
All right, okay. I'm glad we went through this this exercise.
Do you want me to do another month of research on this?
No, like you've done enough. You've done enough. I'm convinced.
I feel like jumping is an unsatisfactory answer. It was unsatisfactory when you mentioned it in the first place. And you went through and you got the simulation, you got the model, and you're like, look, our little guy can jump 40 centimeters, so are you convinced now? And I'm like, I guess? But like, my spidey sense was tingling.
Oh, what's it now?
Something going on. You're telling me that I have to apply a force in 1/1000th of a second, and I have to undergo 278 Gs. I'm not gonna survive that. So what I'm getting now is that like my intuition was good. I think everyone's intuition who's like, you can't jump out of a blender, I think they're right. And you may say, well, that's overthinking it, but that's the whole point of the brain teaser, is to overthink it, is to get to that point where you're thinking about it in the detail of like what would actually be feasible.
A whole lot of things would go wrong. Our hearts have to generate a certain amount of pressure to get the blood, going up to our head and going all the way down. If you take the human heart and shrink it down, it's not going to be able to generate the same kinds of forces. I think there would be a catastrophe at a smaller size. Controlling air pressure inside these countless sacs inside of our lungs. There's an exquisite balance there. Now, you try to take that same design and squeeze it down. I would be skeptical that you'd be able to keep the passageways open. You wouldn't even be able to think this through because you just wouldn't have the brain structures that we have. You can't fit 86 billion neurons in a nickel-sized volume. You can't scale cells down either. That's the thing. Like, cells are cells. I mean, jumping out would be, to me, seems like your only option, but I don't think you're going to be able to jump because you can't breathe and your heart can't pump blood. So you just keel over and die before you can make your jump.
Okay, so if you're a biologist, you think we'd die. If you're a physicist, you can decide whether we'd be little Superman or, as I believe, incapable of fully harnessing our extra strength.
What did Borelli know? He didn't even have blenders. He doesn't know the stress.
But if you're an interviewer at Google, you might not even care what the answer is.
I think one of the misconceptions that candidates have is when I'm asked this question, it's because they want to see if I can solve this problem. That's actually not quite right. There are 5 attributes people are looking for. There's addressing ambiguity, there's breaking down the problem, being creative, being smart, and then communication.
So I guess like none of those 5 are whether it's correct.
Right.
We're the idiots who went and tried to figure out what's the best of those answers.
Yes.
Google realized that asking these types of questions didn't make much sense.
구글의 인사 담당 부서장인 라슬로 복은 이렇게 말했습니다. 채용 관점에서 보자면 브레인 티저는 완전히 시간 낭비였습니다. 비행기에 골프공이 몇 개 들어갈까? 맨해튼에 주유소가 몇 개 있을까? 완전히 시간 낭비였죠. 아무것도 예측하지 못했습니다.
But I just feel like there's that moment where you're like, so are you going to admit you're wrong? And I'm like, yeah, I think this is further to like, I'm not wrong. This is crazy. This question is crazy. And I think it goes to your very point, which is that like brain teasers like this are not good ways to assess whether people know what they're talking about.
So, although brain teasers aren't useful to assess job applicants, they are useful for something.
이 질문을 길거리의 사람들한테 던졌을 때 물리학 전공 학생들이나 과학자들은 다들 눈이 반짝였습니다. 완전히 새로운 시각으로 세상을 바라보게 되는 거죠. 그런 사고방식 덕분에 인류는 엄청난 과학적 발견들을 해왔습니다. 아인슈타인은 사고 실험으로 상대성 이론을 만들었고, 오일로는 퀘니스베르크 다리 문제를 풀면서 그래프 이론을 창시했고, 슈레딩거는 양자역학의 문제점을 설명하려고 고양이를 상자에 가뒀잖아요.
The blender question is admittedly silly, but silly questions can yield profound answers and show us new things.
새로운 걸 배우기 위해선 가끔은 말도 안 되는 걸 그냥 받아들이고 그 흐름을 따라가야 되기도 하는 것 같습니다. 오랜만이죠? 자주 올게요.